love that song. Welcome back to another OBS production of one of my other F-Zero projects, The Power of the Falcon. This one actually takes place after the events of Ending It All, as well as an action point for Valentine's, as well as the end of Destiny, in which Rick has actually accomplished 51 bounties. Wow, he's really following Falcon's legacy. So, this is another story which takes place in GP Legend, as you may know. So without further ado, let's get this thing going. Alright, the Power of the Falcon. I don't know, Zero. In case you don't know why I'm referencing to Pokemon, you'll find out soon enough. Why should the fun end so soon? I've been keeping this project in my stash for about a few months now, and I'm glad to finally share it now that Ending It All is finally done. The intro will be a few seconds into the main theme of GP Legend that'll shift to another melody of a certain song that'll feature here. You'll see what I mean. Well, actually, I've shown it to you guys already. Regeneration. The reason why I brought up the latter was because this story has some familiar elements to a certain event in the anime. This takes place after quite a few months from Black Shadow's Deathborn's demise. I'm gonna let Rick do all the talking. Lap 1. My name is Rick Wheeler, the pilot of the Dragonbird, the champion in the Elite Mobile Task Force, and the saver of the universe, and the recent bounty hunter carrying Captain Falcon's legacy. Life has been going great over these past several months, after I've destroyed the Dark Reactor. I've been quite busy since then, as I had been involved in multiple assignments with the team, as well as grinding for some loot. We've been adjusting to our new life nicely. Yep, that's right, I said we. Me and Tinsel have become very close to the point where I'm not just an expert pilot or bounty hunter, task force officer, but also a fiancé. I finally proposed to Tinsel Steelitz, my true love. She'd helped me heal my past wounds, and we are engaged. My regrets have dissolved at last. We're planning to do something very special. We're actually going to take a restful break from all the hassles and decide to take a journey to Giant. Little did we know, our paths would cross with someone we never expected. The results were not what we hoped for. Tinsel had moved into Rick's apartment. They lived there together for the past several months, and things were a bit tumultuous, both career-wise and personal. However, all that would change as Rick made a surprising week's reservation to visit the planet Giant. Needless to say, it was pretty easy since it was known to have a primitive existence. Some of the citizens weren't too friendly when it came to advanced technology, yet others were fascinated with F-Zero races, much like Baba. Ironically, this was the only inhabitant that didn't have a single track. She was looking through the digital brochure on her tablet when she suddenly got a call on her key. "Hey, Jody, what's up?" "Tinsel, this is urgent. Where's Rick?" "He should be back by now. He's just getting some last-minute supplies for a trip." "Well, he'd better hurry. There's a young woman who's been captured by a street gang near the outskirts. She must be saved immediately as she's crucial to the Galactic Space Forces. Her name is Lily Flyer, and she's a young yet a prestigious recruit. You and Wheeler must save her before it's too late." "All right, Jody, I'm on my way. Be careful." The call ended and she was hesitant on whether she wanted to carry on the assignment with or without her partner. Still, the call of duty was unsurmountable, so she went with her gut and headed out in her silver comet. The Bunny Flash was in clear view on her GPS, and so was its pilot, as she saw her get mangled. She tried her best to fight them off, but her petite structure made him an easy target. She fell to the asphalt on all fours, and the gang was sneering as they towered over her. Tinsel discreetly parked near the assault. She was loading her ice jets as she saw her clothes get torn. She aimed and waited until the punks made their move. "Hey, street rats!" They all looked up at the man who insulted them, jumped off his machine. "If you're looking for trouble, then you have found it." Made a fighting stance within the alley. "Rick Wheeler! What the hell's he doing here? Let's show this bastard a thing or two." They stormed toward him, and he fought them off with minimal effort. It was like they were underestimating him. It wasn't until one of them had a switchblade. He knew this one was a doozy since he was unarmed. This one is serious. He avoided his charges in an attempt to kick it out of the criminal's grasp. However, he was too agile and he punctured his shirt. There was a hole, but no gash. The former detective was knocked down and he was pinned. The knife was raised over his head, but his legs were frozen. He was surprised that he couldn't move. When he looked down, they were encased in ice. "Great time freezing, Tinsel." She gave her friend a thumbs up. "Time for you to chill your heels at the cells." He kicked the stunned tramp in the abdomen and he fell back, never allowing any support from his legs. "Nice work, partner." "Here comes the cavalry." In a moment's time, the assailants were taken into custody. Rick almost forgot about the female victim. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine, thank you. I appreciate the arrival, Rick." "No problem, miss. You're safe now. I heard from my boss that you work with the Galactic Space Forces." "Yes. My name is Lily Flyer. I've been a recruit for the squadron since I was very young. Still have a lot to learn." "Of course. Oh, this is Tinsel Steelis. She's also a part of the mobile task force." "Hi." Lily was surprisingly from such a small tyke. I believe we should be taking her to headquarters." "Right with you. Although you should probably take your machine. I kind of got a little compulsive. We're actually on our way to Planet Giant." "Planet Giant?" "I too was just about to go there. You can tell us along the way. I don't like this place." It wasn't long before they reached their destination. Jody Summer was fortunate that Tinsel and Rick arrived in time. "Excellent work, you two. The crooks have been apprehended and Lily is safe. We wouldn't have had it any other way now that she's been busy looking for one of the most nefarious dealers in the galaxy, Don Genie." "Who is he, Jody? I've never heard of him before." Neither did Tinsel. "Sounds like someone who just came out of a rusty lamp of sorts." Everyone looked up and saw Jack as boastful as ever. "Lily, allow me to introduce you to Jack Levin. He's one of our top F-Zero racers in the task force." "So I've heard." "Aye, it's about time I saw a pretty face. We don't get many around here." "Pipe down, Jack." Lucy followed him. Jody introduced the newcomer to all her teammates. The engineer Lucy Liberty, the android EAD, the high-flying medico Dr. Stewart, the canny canine Leon, the slippery cephalopod Octoman, the furicake pair Gomar and Shio, the wild animal hunter Beastman, aka Chris Annex. "Nice to meet you, all of you." "So, what were you saying about Don Genie?" Everyone listened as she described him as an illegal trader across the universe. He had such a bad reputation, nearly as infamous as Black Shadow, though he was never caught. Rumors in the Force said he was retreated to the planet Giant, home to the most underdeveloped extraterrestrials. "Oh yeah, Baba used to live there." She recalled hearing Leon the Big Blue race upon his demise. There was a bounty of 1,000,000 space credits for Don's captor, and according to an ancient myth, he's planning to awaken each of the Colossi and wreak havoc on the planet so he could rule it. "That's true. I've been there a few times. They don't have too many feral beasts, though," Beastman chimed in. "The prophecy is that of the deity beings. One is of a solid, one's a liquid, one is a gas, and the last one is said to represent plasma. But it's rarely seen. If the powers of the Titans of matter are unbalanced, it'll not only annihilate the people of Giant, but affect the entire universe." "Well, I guess it's lucky for you since we happen to be heading your way, Lily. As a bounty hunter, I'm up for the challenge. I thought the props would go to Captain Falcon. You know, Douglas J. Falcon. I'm sorry, Lily. Falcon is no longer with us. He sacrificed himself as he forced Deathborn into the Dark Reactor core, so I will be taking his place. Rick was able to collect 50 bounties so far. Has he? Then I suppose this should be a personal mission for you. It is, Lily. If you're willing to go to a world where the people are paranoid and don't really root for technology, then I guess it's your destiny. I'll be coming too. Like we said, we were planning on staying there for about a week. Then it's settled. Wheeler and Tinsel will have a new assignment to prevent Don Genie from awakening Colossi and Giants and save the inhabitants from turmoil, while relaxing at the same time, of course. Think of it as an opportunity, guys. What about me? I'm sure all the pretty ladies will worship me there. They got some of the best livestock in the entire galaxy. Lay off, lay off, Jack. This isn't your assignment. Ah, you would spoil sports, ruin everything. Although it would be nice to give us a buzz when the going gets tough. You know we will. Just 'cause I'm a bounty hunter doesn't mean I'll exclude you guys. We're still a team, no matter what obstacle we face. Alright, first lap is done. That didn't take too long. So Lily Fire from the Galactic Forces will be a sort of tour guide for Rick and Tinsel as they approach Giant. Seems their vacation spot has suddenly changed into a salvage mission as they're on a quest to apprehend the megalomaniacal man known as Don Genie from awakening the three colossi that's rumored to wreak havoc across the universe. Much like any loyal bounty hunter like Samus Spike Spiegel and his former mentor Falcon, Rick decides to take up the dangerous assignment. Let's hope he succeed and make his 51st bounty collected in his credible career, while simultaneously taking in the sights of the primitive planet. So there you have it, lap 1. Next time we'll do the second lap. Until then, this is the Ecron Rider signing off. Welcome back to another episode or lap in the power of the Falcon. Last time, Rick and Tinsel actually managed to save Lily Flyer, who is a young though strict recruit in the Galaxy Forces. And her mission is to stop Don Genie from awakening the four colossi known as the four deities in the planet Giant. And coincidentally, Rick and Tinsel are scheduled to spend a vacation there for about a week. So, they actually decided to tag along with Lily, and so they're on their way to Planet Giant. What will they find there? Well, let's find out. By the way, it seems like I'm ripping off of Pokémon the Movie 2000 here. You got me. Now give a fuck lap 2. Alright, let's get this thing going. By the next morning, he and Tinsel made their last-minute preparations for the outer space odyssey. How are we going to get there? Would we use the Falcon Flyer? Lily was kind enough to let us use her cruiser for the Space Forces. This mission should be intriguing. Wonder what we'll find. I hope we'll be able to fit in since a lot of people don't approve F-Zero racing. Or how we live. I sometimes can't stand to be chastised. I suppose we should keep our advanced toys a secret, Tinsel. Lily advised us we should use caution. This would be great for us, to get away from it all. I'm certain they're not like savages or anything. Zipped up his suitcase and it was off to the interplanetary shuttle. Rick and Tinsel tagged along for other reasons, but being they were skilled pilots in a planet that doesn't favor technology, Lily decided to bring them. Through a warp gate that started their first leg. While the pilot Lily described more of their assignment, Tinsel analyzed the info provided from her organization. She's 15 years of age and underwent some strict training during her childhood. She's very dutiful and naive. She's used mostly for emergency situations and assists the Federation as effectively as possible. She also had a perfect attendance and was very punctual, as well as being a serious cadet. She could be as protective and strict as a drill sergeant if the need should arise. She overheard the young soldier saying she was rehearsing a tune on her flute until she was abducted by a street gang. 4 deity bodies slumbered within the heart of Giant. Holidus, representing solid, Gastro, which resembled the air, and Lixa for liquid, as Chris said. There was also the great guardian Placine, which represented plasma, though its dormant location remained a mystery. Several hours later, they've arrived through the remarkably thin atmosphere. The sky was very unusual, as Rick and Tinsel gazed upon its minty color. Below them there were miles and miles of dense vegetation. It was so unlike the overpopulated planets like Earth and Zao. I'm still not sure why Don Genie would want to take over a tranquil world like this. I told you, Rick. Don wants to awaken the 4 deities and conquer it. Someone like him should never care about its lifestyle or its beauty. He just wants to plunder and rule whatever he sees fit. And it's possible that he might want to capture the deities and sell them for a very hefty profit. Lily pinpointed every detail, including where they should land. Surprisingly, the couple never saw anyone or anything but a gray landing pad next to a sparkling cerulean ocean. An enormous yacht docked beside them. It was just like any other balmy beach. Palm trees were swaying, the air was refreshing, and the humidity was low. When the 2 pilots stretched their legs, they breathed in the salty breeze. Are you sure we're not in Big Blue? I'm positive, Cadet. The continent where the deities dwell is just up ahead. We have to land the cruiser here, otherwise the natives would get too paranoid. They cringe at new inventions, thinking they're like weapons. That's a shame. I'm surprised they never host a single race here. Not even a hovercraft race. They must be really living in the past. Maybe even further than 150 years ago. Don't question them, Wheeler. They're very sensitive while being compared to the times. Besides, Every world evolves differently. Come, we should unload our vehicles. They did just that when the Bunny Flash, the Dragonbird EX, the Silver Comet, and the Blue Falcon GT were lifted into the yacht. The gliders on each side made it easy to steer against the smooth waves. We should be at the Materia continent very shortly, so you two could just sit back and relax. Tinsel was the first to leave the cabin while Rick had the idea to change to his Captain Falcon attire. He figured it was the best way to blend into Giant's archaic society without being ridiculed. When he was done, he joined her after removing the heavy crimson helmet. "Hey, Rick," he met her leaning over the banister. "You look more heroic while wearing Falcon's uniform, though without the helmet it's much better." "Thanks, Tinsel. It's quite an honor to have the opportunity to wear it and carry on his legacy. I'm sure he must be really proud of us and what we're doing. I think he and Haruka should be watching over us right now." He wrapped his right arm around her, bringing her closer to his side. She then hugged him. "I bet they are." His mind drifted 150 years into the past when he and Haruka were enjoying a similar cruise like this one. It was just like this, only with Tinsel by his side. He closed his eyes as he reflected, until their bodies lurched as they bobbed over some rough waves. Meanwhile, Lily overlooked the gloomy clouds outside. They were blocking out the sun and kept growing darker from white to gray to a complete black. She pressed a button on the yacht's motherboard. "Hold on to your butts, lovebirds. The weather looks very stormy. I suggest you head into the lower decks now." "We're on it, Lily." He took Tinsel's hand, but the choppy waves were already licking the deck. He almost fell as the upper deck went obscure. He led her straight toward the cabin as he held onto the rails while Tinsel stayed close to Rick for support. The three pilots were shocked how the weather had changed so rapidly. "I don't get it. It was clear when we got here. Now it just got severe in under an hour?" "What's going on, Lily? What's happening? Is this normal?" "It's not always like this. The sky doesn't change this sporadically. The weather patterns are acting very erratic here." She looked over the radar. "There's also expected to be some hurricanes, but they won't hit us. Something's not right. It takes a lot more time for the weather to develop than it does on Earth. At least the island's close, so fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride." This was no joke. The nimbus clouds got more sinister and the waves were just as bad. She killed the engines when they reached the port. They saw a number of people assist to tie and anchor the yacht. There were some humanoids, albeit with some distortions to their bodies. Their skin was almost a mix with mahogany and crimson. Those must be the inhabitants of Giant. Indeed, they were expecting our arrival here. They can be very friendly as long as they're not provoked. The machine should be safe here. We need to find someplace to camp for the night." "Is it going to get any worse?" "I don't know, but we should find some shelter, and fast." The trio ran across the dock, only to have them stopped by an unusual crowd walking up to them awkwardly. It almost looked as if they were treading like zombies, putting Rick and Tinsel in a state of uneasiness. Some were actually frail, others were just skinny and scrawny. "They aren't going to eat our flesh, are they, Lily?" No. They're just here to look over you guys. We don't get many visitors around here." "What do you mean, we?" The duo cringed as they tried to touch them, but the people halted when they heard a bellow. "People of Giant! We have found the chosen one who will grant us peace to the planet. Only he would quench the endless war of the forces of materia." He was tall, looked to be in his elder years, and wearing a mask that sort of looked like a painted golem. "Well, actually, we kinda stopped by for a—" "Nah, don't fret, kid. It's only for the tourists. May the deities protect us." That was sure creepy. Tell me about it. But wait, I need to tell them something. I'll tell them. Lily grabbed his shoulder and whispered. I'll tell them, she declared in her strict voice. Attention, all citizens of Giant! I came here to present to you two talented individuals, Captain Falcon and Tinsel Steelix. They're devoted F-Zero racers, and they had heard from the calling from the prophecy. Falcon here is a bounty hunter and the savior of the galaxy, and he'll do what he can to protect the terrible calamity from happening. Everyone was in shock as they mumbled to themselves. They're F-Zero racers? We don't allow technology here. They ruin our way of living. Prophecy. That's why they're here. Though some of them heard about the champion's outstanding reputation. Falcon's here. Is that why? Eventually they all quieted as they processed what Lily said. Then they cheered. So it's true, then. The famous Falcon has arrived to stop the deities from running amok and to unite each of the sacred orbs to their resting place. After many eons of waiting, we have found the chosen one. The elder raised his decorative wooden rod over his head. The three pilots were allowed access to the resort with the accelerated septuagenarian leading the pack. During the first night at Giant, Lily and the others didn't care too much of the sights. There were numerous festivals, parades, and huts serving various goods. Still, they weren't too distracted as the elder and Lily led them to their private quarters. He showed them where they could stay for the night, and it wasn't long for them to settle down. After about 15 minutes, Lily called for them. She was wearing a delicate, flowing white dress with pink roses across it. To them, it almost looked like a petite wedding gown. There was something they can look forward to in the distant future. What do you think? This may be good for your upcoming matrimony, Tinsel. Yeah, but I'd much rather have it to be all silvery and lustrous. Paladin of the Comet rubbed the back of her neck. Just follow me, you two. She escorted them out and through a few curious crowds. Having Lily intermixed with Rick and Tinsel made them feel irritable, some even cautious. Seeing Rick and Tinsel's otherworldly outfits, the primitive people gave them some positive and negative reception as they walked past. They knew they were outsiders, and the place was more exotic by the minute as Lily, Rick, and Tinsel sat next to the ancient priest. They were in a large orange tent and a campfire was blazing in the center. They sat on cushions and were surrounded by some unusual decor. There were also some masks hanging on the walls. Rick figured they may look similar to the deities everyone's been talking about. He definitely was a sucker when it came to traditionalism. He almost lost his concentration as Lily played the song that was said to raise the Great Guardian plus sane. For some odd reason, Rick's chest warmed as he listened to it. That song. Tinsel looked puzzled with the reaction. When she was done, Lily described the legend being held. Legend? Snapped him back to the present. He removed his helmet and he was actually feeling enthralled about this. The young veteran said it's up to the chosen ones to unite the orbs and bring peace to the planet. At first, Rick and Tinsel weren't sure who it should be, but since he was the savior of the galaxy, as well as being an F-Zero pilot, he knew. Oh, chosen one, will you accept this challenge that has been brought forth to you? Lily asked as she bent close to him. His heart heated up again. Lily, I'm just the right man for the job. Once all 4 of the orbs of materia are gathered, I celebrate by playing this song. She blew a joyous melody on her flute. Then it's over. Let's see. Scrolling. Hate it. Sitting across from the group, the elder stood and mentioned the savior next to him. He knelt down and the old man spread some war paint designs on his face. Rick Wheeler, will you take on this perilous trial and protect us from utter harm by the great deity's wrath? I will. His true love went to him and offered, I hope I get to come too. Rick and we do everything together, including racing. You can't bring him along if you don't have me. Then it's settled. You three may come. Then it's settled. You three may come, but make sure Giant will be safe. Look after him, will you? Of course. Don't worry, Elder. I'll protect them. By the time the Elder and Tinsel left, she reminded him in a stern manner, Rick, we're not just here to stop a catastrophe. We still need to apprehend Don Genie. Yes, I know. Lily almost reminded Rick of Jody, albeit much younger. Although she was just a teenager, she still emitted a great deal of solemnity, like a general in the army, whenever duty calls. I won't get too personally involved with my assignment. That's the way to go. Until the mission begins tomorrow, have fun while you can. Embrace yourself and their culture. Don't mind the ridicule they give you. I won't. We'll see you tomorrow then, bright and early. Count on it. After she left, he couldn't help but feel some doubt. Why does she keep saying we? The pace quickened during the ceremony honoring the newcomers in the eve of the legend. There was some dancing at the middle of a massive ring and a bonfire was all ablaze. They were surrounded by torches and a wide assortment of drums. He and Tinsel were undoubtedly fascinated by it. This place is incredible. I'm surprised how they can live here without using machines or any artificial material. It's all organic. I can see that. I've never experienced anything like it. The uproars from the spectators along the instruments were really distracting. That he could barely even think. Follow me. I know a place where we won't be distracted by those party animals. Lead on, Tinsel. They left the feast and headed to their room, which happened to be a shoji, complete with a sliding door made of thin paper and tatami flooring. The atmosphere was slightly quieter and more comforting, though drums were still beating in the distance. When they sat on a bed made of sheets with satin, they began to feel strange, yet pleasant. His heart began to race, as did hers. Their bodies became numb, and they gazed at each other. Their faces neared, then they kissed passionately. The heat was rising fast. It was sublime as they embraced themselves, feeling their bodies mingle, and their heartbeats as mighty as the percussion itself. Rick felt very similar to a rock, dense yet smooth, while their texture was similar to an absorbent sponge. That moment between them was so phenomenal that by the time they were fastening, she mumbled they're in the final lap, already taking first. Thank goodness they took some extra precautions just in case. All too soon, it ended, just as the bashing died down. They just had enough energy to wrap each other in their loving arms. After a quick smooch, everything went blank. Four deities were based on legendary birds. Instead of fire, ice, and lightning, they were solid, liquid, and gas. Fourth is made of plasma, and is most mysterious of the bunch. Placine is Greek saying to mold. Solidus is a mixture of solidus, which is Latin for solid, and holos, which means whole in Greek. Lixa is Latin for water, and gastro is something I came up with. A song that may be suitable for this fit could be Regeneration, which I already played in the video prior. Also, I actually got this idea from one of my collaborators. It sounds nice, but I could go with the rock and roll. I can go without the rock and roll theme. I know Tinsel and Rick had to tie the knot, but it wouldn't hurt too much as long as it's out of passion. They really let themselves go as they got intimate. I was nervous on describing it without going overboard. I despise pornography so much. Mission begins tomorrow and the next lap. Until then, this is the Ecron Rider signing off. Welcome back to another lap of the power of the Falcon. Last time, Tinsel and Rick have actually arrived at Planet Giant along with Lily via the spacecraft and the Falcon Flyer, and they actually arrived and met the Elder of Planet Giant, to which he bestowed Rick as the savior and the chosen one to reunite the orbs, also known as materia orbs or orbs of materia, and also to stop Don Genie from awakening the four giants. And also during that night, Tinsel and Rick got a little intimate. Although, ironically, I'll let you on a little secret that exotic drums are kind of a turn on. So, hint, hint. Anyway, they continue their journey in hopes they would reach the orbs before Don Genie awakens the giants. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the show. Alright, hold on a sec. Alright, here we go. Lap 3. Clean, refreshed, and shaven, the new bounty hunter and huntress were ready for their mission. Rick didn't really like the facial paint he had anyway. Are you ready? I'm all set. Let's go. With as much determination as him. Our machines are still inside Lily's maritime vehicle. We'll have to walk from here. For a second, Tinsel felt irritated, but what choice do they have? Do you know where the shrine is? Lily just gave me the coordinates. His key showed a small screen of where they had to go next. It's a few miles from here. I suggest you pack something to eat. It'll be a long way. After hearing that Rick was destined to fulfill the legend, the natives were a lot kinder to both him and Tinsel. They've shown him a pathway, but it was barely seen due to the debris from the storm. The elder told them that the unstable environment may be a sign of more worse things to come. The duo took it into account, and he wished them luck, and he prayed for their victory. They were strolling through some thick canopy from the tropic jungle. To lighten the mood, they made a few brief picnics, and they had some conversation on various subjects. One of them was, what would happen if they should move to Port Town, where Captain Falcon lived? Rick said it might be a great idea, although they'd be further away from the task force base. He assured they'd only be a warp gate away if they should ever need them. Tinsel was very thrilled since she'd actually be at the same location as that nostalgic horse she occasionally visits. By noon, he observed the shrine, which was where the continent ended. Lily and her yacht were there waiting for them. He was discussing the arrangements with Tinsel and Lily. He thought of everything since their slow lubber through the trail. There were a few slots located at the back chamber, and he strategized to retrieve the orb of Gastro first. I think it might be best if I were to obtain the sphere from Gastro. If I do meet him, he'll probably won't be as tough as Lixa and Holodus are. Wait, what makes you think you'll meet the deities? The temples and the orbs may consist a test for the chosen one, but they may consider me to be an intruder. Good point. Hold on. I'm coming with you, Rick. You may need someone to watch your back. Besides, I can use the comet's jets to stun these monstrosities. All right, you can go. Yes! Damn scrolls. Okay, but someone must hold the fort. Don Genie may try something sinister here. The spheres must be reunited here to keep the planet in check, and stop the deities from fighting each other if need be. I'm sure he'll do whatever he can to fulfill the prophecy and drive out Placine. Giant's fate is in our hands. To Tinsel, it was like deja vu helping Falcon about 2 years ago. She was so glad she could follow her true love who happened to be his replacement. Falcon was reluctant as she, Yugi, and Joey decided to cover for him, but Rick was more open-minded. She never had to think twice nor have any regrets. Using the miniature yacht, they arrived at the island to the left. The current wasn't as torrential, so it was an easy journey, unlike the walk through those humid jungles. They were met by geysers of toxic gas colored with a neon green yellow erupting from narrow ravines surrounding the temple. Tinsel was uncertain how they can enter it. There must be a safer way. We need to look around. Come on. After some strenuous minutes of searching, Rick saw a cracked wall beneath the crag. He called Tinsel to stay back. Then he paced backwards a few inches, rushed toward it, and kicked the wall down. He then suggested to take the trek underground. The entrance was cavernous and dark, so they used their flashlights from their keys. There were still some more poisonous pools beneath them, and the path was narrow. They had to go slow in order to avoid slipping. Still, the cave smelled like rotten eggs everywhere they went, causing their noses to burn. They eventually came across a map with an ancient etching on it. There was also a pit to their left. Rick figured this was where the orb was. With a grappling hook from the comet, he went down until the rope snapped. He fell into a cloud of toxic gas as thick as pea soup. He immediately ran onto a ledge a few inches above it. He was catching his breath, attempting to regain his strength, almost as if the atmosphere was literally sucking the life out of him. As he held his head, he touched Falcon's helmet and unexpectedly activated a metallic goldenrod gas mask via the earpiece. This made an enormous difference while wearing it, as it was like a protective shield for Rick's helpless lungs. The labyrinth was a chore to navigate with dead ends, more of the green fumes, the works. But after some deep thinking and clear memorization, despite the fog getting in the way, he made it up a couple huge stone ledges which led him to another chamber. He grabbed a sphere at the top of the tower from a small pedestal which had the same shade of neon green as the gas emissions. Then he felt a warm sensation in his hands. Rick! Rick! Tinsel lowered the hook from above. He eventually ascended using the stronger hook from the blue Falcon GT. He was able to support his weight, and he shone her the light green orb. Tinsel, I just got this. This has to be one of the secret orbs from the deities, from Gastro. She didn't feel anything when she held it. He got headed back, despite the green residue Rick got on his outfit and face. He actually felt nauseous by the time he resurfaced into fresh air. There was an arctic cloth from the comet to calm his body. They were surprised Gastro never showed up. All of a sudden, Rick and Tinsel saw the fat shark speed away after they got back. They gave chase using the comet and the bird to the other island, only this one had a slippery land path ascending to the top. Because it was natural, there were no guardrails nor any jump or dash plates, nor pit areas. They had to rely entirely on their wits and reactions. There were a few icicles jutting from the sides. They eventually made it to Lix's lair on that slippery course. Rick looked around for just a few seconds. This place must be designed for the water deity. No kidding. Each fixed their eyes on the fat shark. It was rumored to be the heaviest machine and the second fastest next to the black bull. Tinsel had seen the stats before she was analyzing the mission before the pilots entered Giant. It had a strong protection system, a quick boost, high top speed, but bad handling. The amethyst cockpit was said to represent a cut gem, and its engine is made of gold. There were some gigantic multiple boosters and spikes from the exterior, and two large tubes at its side reaching to the front for extra endurance. Being he has a vast fortune, he financed it to be a broken, unbeatable monster on the tracks. However, that all changed when both Tinsel and Rick managed to cut him off. Freeze! Don't move, Don Genie! We've got you surrounded! Surrender now! She shouted, pointing her ice glock. Hold on! The cockpit's empty. What? She was astonished as she faced him. Upon close sight, he was correct. It was all a setup. Where's Don Genie, then? He saw the machine itself phase out. It was a hologram! He figured to his partner that Don would be spying on them, and they'd best be careful. The engines were lowered and permitted the pair to enter. Just then Lily gave a buzz and told him to be patient as she's downloading data to him on using an alternate outfit for Tinsel. Rick also had an upgrade where his shoes changed. They had silvery wings attached to them, as did she. Sorry for the wait, Tinsel. There's hardly any reception here, so communication has been difficult. But here you are, your own outfit. Good luck, you two. She said they're capable of having them levitate for a few moments, which was good considering they rushed in as soon as it started to rain in torrents, making the inside very slippery. Water kept rushing through the temple, and also leaked at a few spots. She donned on a similar look to Rick's attire, only had a silver cyber suit with broad shoulders and a helmet and visor that covered her face. Tinsel, follow my lead. There were some small platforms in the first chamber. The abyss was several feet below, and at times there were some downpours which caused the roof to tilt and release some waterfalls. The duo made some slight detours as they hopped from platform to platform, making their way around them. Rick had better footing than her, but she was lighter as she made her way through the temple. Occasionally they had to use their grappling hooks to keep themselves from falling, rather than just grabbing onto each other. By the time they got to the end, there was a strong stony precipice and a huge gap about 50 feet like the one in Whiteland. There was no way to summon their machines, so they had to proceed on foot. Tinsel used the ice gun and frozen arrow bridge, though they had to hurry before it collapsed under their weight. They went one at a time, with Tinsel heading first. The pathway did fall as Rick reached the end. She grabbed it and pulled him up. He was heavier, but she managed with sheer strength and luck. Thanks, I owe you one. Let's just call it even. There was a tall staircase up ahead, and a blue light was shining down. There was an opening just behind the top step, and it was only a drizzle outside. He looked around, and there was still no sign of Lixa once Rick got the cerulean orb. 2 down, 1 to go. How are we supposed to get back? Ahoy down there! It was the adolescent from the Galactic Forces. Lily! Mind if I give you a lift? She lowered a rope ladder from the top step. They both climbed up. When they settled in, the spacecraft descended out of Lix's lair. Rick took out spears in complete awe. He just couldn't stop looking at them, safe in his hands. I believe you guys made it this... I can't believe you guys made it this far without meeting any of the deities. Hold up! We got company! Cruiser left off the siren as it detected an oncoming threat. Lixa woke up from her slumber. As they'd expected, she was made entirely out of cerulean translucent water. She was just as high as the temple, her face was nearly human, she was wearing a pointed metallic power helmet with spikes protruding from it. She started to attack them thinking they were intruders, but Tinsel's ice gun wouldn't hold forever. Hurley headed back to the epicenter and Rick and Tinsel summoned their vehicles. Then help controls are inoperative! They were stupefied as they saw pinkish hues surround them. The ship shifted as they were pulled against their will. Lily, Tinsel, and Rick were drawn in by a tractor beam, as was Lixa, who was electrocuted in a humongous fly trap of sorts. The shock caused her body to break. Then it regenerated to a smaller stature, about 6 feet tall. When the field finally dissipated, the trio ran out and realized they were trapped inside an encased room. Jade-colored walls surrounded them. Where are we? I'm not sure, but it doesn't look natural, so it can't be a part of Giant. This could be Dungeon's turf. Must have dragged us here. Rick pulled up his sleeves and tried punching and kicking his way out, much to Lily and Tinsel's dismay. But the walls were too sturdy. He was later panting and wiping sweat from his forehead. It's no use. The walls are too strong to penetrate. We're stuck here. Sleeping gas was emitted. Rick managed to cover his mouth and nose. Don't breathe! But the women were actually coughing. Quick! Activate your alternate outfit! Huh? It was too late. Tinsel succumbed to the fumes and held fell to the ground. In his frustration, Rick heard a snicker from a raspy, cheerful voice. On the small screen, there was a brown-faced midget. He looked to be in his late 60s with his wrinkles and 3 thick mohawks of gray and white hair sticking out. He had a diamond eye patch in his right eye, pink undershirt, indigo color with shoulder pads made of huge topazes and emeralds. The rest of his body was covered in black and white stripes. His white sneakers were entirely made from blood rubies, and wielded a cane made of moon rock that was almost the same height. "Welcome to my crib. How do you like my generous hospitality? So you're done, Jamie. What do you want with us?" "On the contrary, I only desire you. The famous Rick Weir, the new Captain Falcon, the most prominent F-Zero pilot, and the savior of the universe." "How do you know that?" "Everyone knows who you are, Rick. Your record as a champion and bounty hunter astounds me so. Not to mention you are the chosen one destined to interfere with my methods. If it's me you want, what are you going to do with my friends? I do not want to have any leaks on my operations, Rick. No witnesses, no crimes to pay. In other words, they will meet their death. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have the remaining 2 deities to capture, and soon the universe would be at my feet. You won't get away with this, Genie. You are so wrong, Rick. It's you who shouldn't get away. He pressed a button and managed to activate heavy gravity. No need for extra exertion, Rick. Let your mind relax and be at my mercy. He looked up and saw something pulsating and swirling in slow motion. He squeezed his eyes shut since his body was too immobilized. He knew Don was trying to hypnotize him. Yet, he began to feel calmer despite the enormous weight. He subconsciously gazed into it again, causing himself to lose focus and consciousness. The rich man kept repeating him to relax, that his eyes were growing heavy and he was growing more drowsier. "I'm getting sleepy." Without any resistance, he dozed off. Unlike the second Pokémon movie, I wanted to emphasize on each of the temples. Didn't really show much except X and Pichichu retrieving their orbs. I wanted to turn this F-Zero fic into an action exploration story, kind of like Metroid or Star Fox Adventures. And here's the music for that. Blah blah. Gastro Craig was a shout out to the final challenge in Guts. Kinda miss it. Second trial revolving around Lix's lair was based on the slippery level from Mickey Mouse and the Castle of Illusions. By the way, even to this day since my younger years, I still find the music in this particular level to be a little unsettling. But it's probably just me. Also, Tinsel's alternate outfit is almost a reference to Samus's look in the Game Boy game Metroid 2. Never played it. Crappy references for the win. Subject music, there's Whiteland. There's this, there's that. And so, Rick and his team ended up being trapped by Dawn. Of course, since Dawn is the main antagonist, his theme from GX would be heard. I wasn't sure about his design. Wasn't really sure about his design at all. But I think I'm just gonna go with his look from the anime. Looks as almost like Chaos from Sonic Adventure, even though she has the face of the Statue of Liberty. Ugh. It's no doubt the Fat Shark is the most broken, non-customizable machine in GX and AX. Unfortunately, I didn't have experience of using them. The only time I saw Don Genie personally was in the Japanese version of the anime, sadly. His design bounces off of that. Like the show, he's completely separate from Black Shadow. may want to take control of the racing committee, but until then, he's got his hands full with giant deities. Alright, lap 3 is done. Next time, will Rick, Tinsel, and Lily escape their fate? Find out later. Welcome back to another lap of the power of the Falcon. Last time, Rick has actually managed to retrieve the orbs of Gastro and Lixa, while Tinsel actually followed him in. Unfortunately, their mission was sabotaged as they, along with Lily Flyer, were captured by Don Genie. And Lixa has actually awakened after Rick retrieved the orb from Lixa. So, will they meet their fate or will they escape unscathed? Well, let's find out. Lap 4. The next thing Tinsel and Lily knew, they were taken to another chamber above the main hall where two of the deities were kept. They were in a spherical loft above a circular room surrounded by tall see-through windows overlooking the archipelago in the late afternoon sky. The tile floor was below them, and there were some lights covered by ceramic ceiling lamps. Lily was the first to come around. So did Tinsel. Teenage veteran was sitting idly. Lily, are you alright? Yeah, fine. I just woke up. And Rick? She saw him lying just a few feet away, Tinsel attempting to wake him up, but Lily said she tried once and he wouldn't budge. Distinctive voices were screeching in the hall. Gastro and Lixa were crying in agony as the electrocuted traps continually shocked them. The Earth Titan was almost like a cloud, as one would expect. He had a dark gray circular chest with heavy stratus clouds surrounding it. Two muscular arms in his head matched the same shade as his abdomen did. Strangest thing was he kept changing from white, then faded to gray, then in a sporadic order. Whereas the clouds surrounding his body were also changing randomly from cirrus to cumulus, then to stratus. She then saw Tablet at the epicenter. Tinsel wondered what it all meant. It was in an ancient language in which only Lily could decipher. Foretells the legend. It's the same message inscribed at the Materia Shrine. We have to wake up Rick and escape here. I'll call the comet so we can make our getaway and free the deities before the solid one arrives. We can't, because Dawn would notice us. Unless if we can make some kind of a diversion. Even the cruiser and the dragon bird were missing. Lily theorized that the third deity would destroy the ship from the outside, freeing them. However, it's likely they'll war against each other. The remaining deity was the Titan of Solid, the golem known as Holodus. Suddenly, an enormous fist made of multicolored stone smashed through the windows. Lily and Tinsel were in a state of panic, and she tried again to awaken Rick, while she was shaking and begging him to do so. Rick! Rick! You have to wake up! The Titan's running amok! Then in her desperation her hand glowed a bright blue while her right palm warmed. Energy from a reactor light restored him into consciousness. His body felt heavy as he slowly opened his eyes. There was a brief chill as he saw Tinsel laying over him. Tinsel. Lily! Felt some lurch as the room shook. Holodus kept smashing the fortress like a Hulk. It was enough to break open the traps that released Gastro and Lixa. Fortunately, she solidified and sicked onto the stone titan, while the gas giant immediately changed into an ominous shade of a stormy cloud. He exhaled a strong gust of wind toward the clashing duo and the battle was on. The collision was enough to break open a massive hole within the pilot's prison. The stained glass shattered, and they were several feet above the main floor. Don Genie's not here. Now's our chance, while the deities keep themselves busy. Let's go! Little to no hesitation, Rick was the first to jump down. He hardly kept his balance by the time he landed. Lily! Tinsel, you can do it! It's not so far! Jump down and I'll catch you! He commanded, looking up. The women were hesitant, but Lily decided to go first. She was hanging, then she dropped into Rick's arms. Tinsel! Come on! She was the most nervous as the landing might crush her unfortunate bones. Hurry! The deities can't keep Dawn at bay forever! With her friend's encouragement, she finally accepted, but the impact made her drop. He ran beneath her just before they both hit the ground. Temporarily looked into each other's eyes and she was laying on top of Rick. Guys! This isn't a staring contest! We gotta get a damn move on! Right. Both racers summoned their machines. Dragon Bird and Silver Comet, come to us! The cars dropped from a hatch within the ceiling and the cruiser was released as well, and it fell out. They leapt into them and immediately drove around the fortress looking for a way out while it was falling. Debris kept raining around them. They weren't as lucky as the cruiser which soared out of the broken shards from the windows. Lily looked over them in horror, seeing they were still trapped inside. Rick, we can't make it! We'll be cut into ribbons just as you were 150 years ago! The spaceship is gonna crumble onto us if we don't escape! His expression changed from doubt to determination. Les faced her who was riding beside him. Ready, Tinsel? She nodded as she immediately knew. Booster fire! They both yanked their handles back and spun so fast that it could literally burn someone's eyes. It was just enough strength and speed to exit unscathed. Fortunately, this wasted one reactor mite to each. How's that, Tinsel? There's no way I can meet the same fate this time. Lily was awestruck by the time the spectacle ended. Lily, are you all right? Yes. Rick, what is that? It's the booster fire. You've learned this from Falcon. It's the booster fire. We learned this from Falcon. Captain Falcon? Come on, follow us to the shrine. We should be clear. Don't look back. China has been torn asunder as the deity bodies clashed with each other. During the melee, Lily's cruiser was hit by Holidus's raised arm as he was defending himself from Lixa and Gastro. I lost all control over the cruiser. Rick, Tinsel, don't worry about me. Be careful. Get out of there. She used auxiliary power to the thrusters, trying to level her descent as she kept the nose up as high as possible. She crashed just a few yards away from the main shrine, but she was all right. Back at the fallen fortress, Don Genie was nearly pissed to the shiny silver-braid's teeth. You may have escaped, but I'll be waiting when Placine returns. Then you and soon the entire universe will be mine. After the crash landing, there was a massive earthquake that shook the Titan's battlefield. Holidus unleashed much of his wrath that it was a chore for the two pilots. It's getting worse! The planet's being torn up! I know! Rick supposed since all three deities started their conflict, their best chance was to take cover at the main shrine and unite the two orbs he found from Gastro then Lixa. Being the heaviest machine, the Dragonbird EX was lagging behind. Fissure was growing wider and Tinsel was the first one across it. Rick, however, wasn't so lucky. Boosted, but the ravine was too wide. As he reached the jump, he kept his nose up, but to no avail. He fell, then his body lurched as he was caught by a neon green light. He was lifted out of the abyss, and he looked around in awe. I'm not falling? What gives? Is it Placine? The comet headed toward the center of the small rocky archipelago. Lily called for her, and she was so relieved they made it alive. They wondered where Rick was, and they looked behind and saw the same limelight. There's the dragon bird. What is this? Who's carrying Rick? Following the beam, their eyes gazed upon another enormous spacecraft. From the nozzle, the dragon was lifted toward them. It's the Galaxy Runner! The task force must have followed us! It dropped the craft gently, and the beam ceased. Rick hopped out of the vehicle. Tinsel ran to him with open arms, and they embraced for a short while. Lily, you're all right. Yeah, but my space cruiser crashed into Holidus. I'm stranded, except... She pointed behind him, and out came their old friends. He was just as surprised to see his allies from the task force. The trio caught up to them, and someone spoke in Aussie accent. Looks like we got our first catch of the day. He looked up and saw his best friend. Jack! How did you find us so fast? Ronnie explained he eventually followed the duo via signal as they caught by the madman. Hold on. You thought we were gonna let you go alone? Come on. We knew you'd be in trouble once the Dragonbird gave off an SOS signal. You thought we were gonna let you go alone? Come on. We knew you'd be in trouble once the Dragonbird gave off an SOS signal. Lucy? Why are you all here? How did my Dragonbird give off an SOS? Why did you follow it? We had to, Rick. Jody, we knew you'd find yourself in a pickle eventually. That's why we're here. I can't believe it. How did you guys get here so quickly? Giant is many light years away from Earth. You know Jody. Once she has an objective in mind, she would never surrender the thought. Doc! My son managed to tag along too. So did Clank and EAD. Guys, I never wanted you involved in this. This was supposed to be our mission, and Lily's. I never wanted to endanger all of you. It was Jody's decision, Rick. She was the one who brought the task force here. Don't get your blouse in a furrow, Ricky. We've always got your back. Jack's right. We're more than just a simple team protecting the galaxy. Much like the Fuhrer cakes, we stand together as a family. That made Rick grin and caused his heart to warm. Everyone, thank you. Now go and unite the orbs you collected. There's still time before the planet falls apart entirely. The universe is at stake, and you are its savior. We're all counting on you, Wheeler. His demeanor became serious after the reminder of his destiny. Understood, Jody. Rushed up to the 2 layers of stairs. It was an exhausting climb. He carefully matched the green and the blue orb to their corresponding holes in front of their respective aisles. Ugh, I hate when it scrolls. There's the Gastro Crag, and Lix's lair. He then gazed at the home of Holodus in the middle. Wait a second. There are only 3 towers, yet there are 4 slots? We need to get 4 orbs now? How are we supposed to get the last one? I'm not sure. There was a quake as the fight raged on. What I am sure is we have to get the Solido before it's too late. What's going on out there? Clank emerged from the Galaxy Runner, was scared stiff at the fight between the 3 deities. This is horrible. Hard to believe these Titans represent the 3 forms of matter. If any of them should die, it could affect the entire universe. It sounds unorthodox, but she's right. If anyone should fall, we would all be infected somehow. The results could be so dire, it's unexplainable. We have to help Rick. He's the chosen one after all. We must get to the center tower and unite the orb. I'm not sure about the last one. Till then, we need to distract the Titans. Jack and Tinsel will assist Wheeler to do so. Dr. Stewart and Rodney will stand by for healing duties. Clank will stay put, and EAD will help him analyze any data concerning the planet's condition, and any activity from Jean. They and Lucy will also be in charge for repairs. Lily and I will take the offensive. Sounds good to me, Jody. Okay, let's move! Roger! Since there was 1 reactor mite left, he couldn't use the Dragon Bird EX. His only chance was the Falcon GT. He was complete as he put his helmet back on. The ground shook and he saw Holodus marching toward the group. The deities were onto them. They're closing on us! Everyone, hold your fire! We cannot provoke them! But all 3 Titans were building up their energy. Everyone was expecting the worst as they braced themselves, which would also destroy the shrines surrounding them. A meteor storm took down the assailants. Through the colorful clouds, they were awestruck to see a serpentine creature with condor wings. Its body was encased in black, and there were numerous neon lines running down. In various shades, there was a stump on its head and its spine. Its wings also glowed, as did its tail. It had a crocodilian snout which ended in a pointed falcon beak. It was as if it had traits from both a dragon and a bird, much like Rick's machine. The great guardian of giant! The embodiment of plasma! Lazane! I can't believe it! The others remained silent and still. Insane? Rick's eyes never moved from him. Then he bowed down as the being faced him and let out a cry similar to a whale song. He made a few notes from Louis's ceremony last night. That sound! The young cadet was amazed at this, as was done in his red castle of corruption. The scanner zoomed in at the creature. Finally, the time has come for Playson to awaken. Now is my chance. Meanwhile, the Titans were focused on their only target. Bricky Company saw the onslaught every passing second. It became more brutal, and the plasma deity couldn't take in more punishment. He conjured another meteor shower, but for the most part he was holding back his power. By the time he was sharply descending, Rick ran to the war. No, Rick, it's too dangerous! Jack, I need to help him! Fortunately, from one boulder, he was taken down. No! Placine! He fell through the dry terrain. Titans continued to clash with each other. The rocket released him, and Rick fell to his knees. Oh. How are we supposed to save the universe if we can't save Placine? It's hopeless. Lily took out her flute and looked at it. As seconds passed to a minute, she played the sacred song. Despite the noises from the warring trade, this was a sign of aspiration. To Jack, something tagged at his heartstrings. A similar song he once heard from his childhood. After she played a couple bars, Placine burst out of the ground with a bright hue. It was literally a ray of hope. Placine. He walked toward him and laid a wing at his side. The song restored my strength, for now. And I have come once the energy from 2 of the materia orbs have combined. But that alone can't overcome the 3 angry deities. I am the last with a pure soul, as are you, Rick Wheeler. Placine, what must I do? Only the chosen one can reunite all 4 orbs of matter, those that govern the galaxy, solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. So far, you've only assembled half of them. Obtain the 3rd sphere from the home of Holidus, and return to the Materia Shrine. I shall give to you a part of my essence when the time comes. You must not wait, Rick. Hurry, and bring the final orb here. I'll keep the deities busy as long as I can. Existence is depending on you. Go to it. He flew up and rocketed toward the fray once more. The squadron saw Rick summon the Blue Falcon. From that moment, he felt the captain's spirit was inside him. Jack! Tinsel! Let's go! To the home of Holidus. They nodded and climbed into their corresponding crafts as they followed him to the temple at the center of the war-torn terrain. Plasma is unusually found in space, but also with lightning, neon signs, and also the auras from the poles. Just came up with this unusual concept for Placine. It's based off of Logia, no doubt, but it seems that the legendary bird has characteristics belonging to both bird and dragon. Serpentine body, curved head, long tail, scales, combined with large wings belonging to a bird of prey. For the longest time, the species of Logia has remained unclear, unless it is considered that it really is a dragon bird, just like Rick's own F-Zero machine. And Ryu's name as well. Maybe the craft and his name were created based off of Logia? Who knows? So, until then, this is the Ecron Rider signing out. Stay tuned for the final lap. Hey guys, this is the Ecron Rider here. Welcome you to the final lap of the Power of the Falcon. Last time, Rick was able to reunite the solid and the liquid orbs that he got from Holidus and Lixa, and the mobile task force has actually followed them to Planet Giant. And meanwhile, Don Genie is anticipating the awakening of Placine, while the other giants clash against each other. The fate of giants as well as the universe rests in their hands. Will Rick be successful? Well, let's find out. Alright, final lap. With Placine's help distracting the other deities, Tinsel, Jack, and Rick approach the last temple, the home of Holidays. As they'd expected, it was a crag, though they had to go underground for the final sphere. Unlike Astro's turf, this one actually led beneath the surface. Jack volunteered to stay and guard while the couple ventured in. It was good for them since they had extra means to protect themselves from harsh environments. His from Falcon, and hers from Lily's download. They parked their machines and climbed out of the cockpit into a subterranean chamber that almost reminded them of Norfair, which actually I played in the video prior. Their outfits were resistant and there was just enough lighting for their search. They looked all over for the sphere and the heat was intense, but it was nowhere to be found. There weren't any pedestals nor any hidden perches within the walls, as Tinsel wasn't able to predict. Just some crumbling rocks. Rick even checked the patches of disturbed burnt soil. Still nothing. Their flashlight shone down a steep hill which was getting darker upon the descent. Are you sure about this? Are you sure about this? Rick wasted no time as he slipped down without a moment's pause. Thankfully, the trek down wasn't so irritating because of their interplanetary outfits. The bounty hunter landed gently, as did his partner. The atmosphere became very thick and pools of magma were boiling just beneath a couple feet. There was a straightaway, and they instantly figured this was the heart of the stone fortress and where the old orb laid. Tinsel stuck close to Rick, then a magma-crusted creature dropped from the ceiling. It was around 20 feet tall, its tail was just as long. Its head was small and curved, and it had a large white abdomen. It was definitely not friendly as it sneered and roared with its glowing red eyes. Its large... dang errors. Its large flippers kept flopping until it released a volley of flame. The duo dodged it, and they both aimed their Glocks toward the lizard-like monstrosity. She used her ice to stun it, while Rick shot lasers toward its head. The assault caused the creature to back away. However, he was very resilient. They had to be careful since there was nowhere else to go but forward, since the path was so narrow. They tried their best to keep avoiding the fiery onslaughts and shooting whenever there was an opening. Sometimes they had to stop, drop, and roll if they were being fried like wild turkeys. The duo couldn't hold their own for so long as its attacks were growing stronger with the crater's smoldering atmosphere. Its body was nearly indestructible considered it was made from below the giant's crust. Annoyed, the creature swiped Rick aside like a fly. Tinsel was alarmed and kept rapidly shooting the monster. It was barely enough since they were nearing the precipice ahead. In addition, it was using its arms as a means of defense. If only they could keep him busy longer. Meanwhile, as Rick was stunned, he saw some steam emit from the ground. He couldn't smell it, yet his nose was twitching a little, and he felt some heat rising toward him. He hesitantly grabbed some of the disturbed rocks and hurled them toward the abomination. They shattered upon its thick skin, yet the gas caused it to cough. He realized it was also weak against toxic fumes. He kept up the strategy until the creature backed off into a lighter surface. From its weight, the ground collapsed beneath him. He lost his footing, then dropped into the magma. It thrashed and shook to keep itself from sinking, yet the magma was eating its skin until bones were shown. It roared in protest until it finally met its maker. By the time it was defeated, a ball of fire shot up. That caused Tinsel to startle and lose her balance. Fortunately, Rick reached and grabbed her. They both calmed themselves, and they momentarily saw something glowing behind them. The bright red light was made out to be the last sphere, and he figured it was the guard's main source of energy. Thankfully, it didn't burn his hands when he held it. Ah! Out of ammo! Her Glock was completely used up. There was a shake and the roof rained down some debris. A few stalactites fell from the ceiling and Rick grabbed Tinsel's hand. This place is starting to collapse! Outside, Jack got his hands full. The Astro Robin was distracting Holiday as it ran over its rocky feet. He was giving Placine some leverage until Rick and Tinsel got back from the trial inside. Unfortunately, because it wasn't light and nimble, Jack was easily caught by his humongous hand. The machine was like a tiny model car compared to the golem's size. Luckily, he was saved by the constant battles from the other deities. The Robin landed on top of Placine before it crashed to the hard ground. They helplessly watched as Lix and Gastro ganged up on him. Holiday took so much abuse from the other deities. Lixa used its Hydro body to weaken it, while Gastro made it inhale the toxic gas and fill up its stomach. Crikey! That Titan is taking quite a beating! Let it go, Jack. We must wait for Rick and Tinsel. The mighty Holiday fell, crushing most of the temple on impact. Then it was one-on-one. From the thick smoke there was a spark. The Comet and the Falcon emerged. Damn, does it feel good to be out of there! Wheeler, Tinsel, you made it! That was a close call, Jack. The Titans closed in on them, and she used her jets to stun them. The Robin was near her. The Falcon was beside Playson. Holiday's orb? Got it! Rick showed it from his pocket. At times the crafts were caught in the crossfire and Placine took the defensive. He unleashed another meteor shower to stun them for a while, until they were destroying each other again. When it's clear, the heroes emerged victorious as the shrine was a few miles from the archipelago. We're almost there! We'll see, Ricky. Not if I could beat the legendary Captain Falcon. If that's a challenge, Jack, then I accept it. Not if I have anything to say about it. If that's a challenge, Jack, then I accept it. Not if I have anything to say about it. Unbeknownst to them, during their friendly race, Don Genie released a fatal contraption. It was the same one that was injuring both Lixa and Gastro. Placine was electrocuted by the humongous flytrap with the blue falcon. Jack and Tinsel only watched in horror as the task force just a mile away. Rick couldn't use the booster fire since sparks were flying all around him. He was helpless inside his machine until it unexpectedly raised its hood. Soon his own body was caught in the current. He fell out and the bolts kept licking him. He could barely move as he and Placine were suffering from the endless agonizing pain. Then he was warming up until he recalled Falcon using a signature move when he forced Deathborn into the Dark Star reactor. His eyes shot open and his fist clenched very tight, and instead of being a fiery bird of prey, it turned out to be a dragon made of electricity. That left a large hole inside, causing Genie to drop the controls in awe. He's so strong! Just made enough strength and let the rage loose as his body glowed a bright orange. He screamed as his vessel shot out a volley of energy toward Lixa and Gastro, as well as a portion of Don's fortress, using his last reactor might and shattering the contraption. His body was in so much brutal agony that it made itself shut down while simultaneously absorbing the lethal energy. Frick! Everyone cried for him as they saw him and Placine plummet. He dropped to the cockpit of the Blue Falcon and remained very still. They were so far away that they didn't notice Placine's body dissolve into pyroflies after he fell to the ground. Silver Comet and the Astro Robin rushed to the scene. Tinsel received a shock when she touched him, though Jack was lucky since he was wearing the red gloves. He carried him to the Robin, and the weather suddenly got violent. The wind began to pick up, and Tinsel looked over a rip in the ground. It was so deep that she couldn't see nor make out Placine's fallen body. Where's the plasma deity? He can't be. Is he? An enormous tornado was formed, and the inhabitants just lost it. Jack and Tinsel just saw it themselves. Jack, we gotta get out of here! Don't have to tell me twice. He immediately burned up the engines, and a grappling hook shot out of its trunk. Latched onto the Falcon's cuff on its elongated hood, with some elbow grease he was able to pull it. They both raced back to the main shrine. The tractor beam was offline, but the task force was relieved they all made it. They were alarmed when they saw Rick. I've never seen him look this bad since the day we got him out of cold sleep. Everyone get back! His son was ready. Rodney! The shock left him in cardiac arrest. His body shut down from the high voltage. You know what to do. He was as white as a sheet, and even Robert received a shock as he made contact. Rodney, get 2 pairs of rubber gloves and a chest compressor. Hurry now! He immediately put on rubber gloves, and he was the one who restarted his heart. Through the darkness, Rick somehow heard the screams of the inhabitants of the planet, as everything around them was being demolished by the numerous storms as well as the eruptions from beneath the broken earth. Some of it even fell into the abyss, making it light up with flames. Tectonic plates were also moving at a horrifying rate. The planet truly was falling apart, and he had nowhere else to go. After several compressions, Rick's heart finally let some blood through, warming his chest. He was barely breathing and moving his head. Tinsel rushed to his side. Rick? Oh, Rick! He was able to slowly move his hand to hers, as if her tears were an ounce of strength. Tinsel. Finish it. You must do it. What? I can't make it. Too weak. It's up to you now. Rick, you shouldn't talk. No. Listen. She must do this. Take all of this and place Saint Spheres. Rick, you need to rest. She was frightened by the ferocity, but a certain someone was able to help her regain her senses. That's your final mission, Tinsel. You must accomplish this. It was Jody. Wheeler knows you're the only one who can. Restore balance to the planet and reunite the 4 orbs of materia. Hurry up, stay alive, and place them inside the shrine. That's an order. Any objections? Suddenly she felt a sensation whenever Rick was holding the sacred spheres. They warmed within her hands. With that, she declared, No, there are no objections. I will finish Rick's mission. She ran up as fast as she could, nearly losing her footing. Lucy and Lily were close behind, and they were able to catch her. When she finally placed the spheres in their correct slots, they glowed. Their essences became one with the others as they shot through the sky like the aurora borealis. Hard to believe the duties of the Chosen One can pass on the mantle to someone else willingly without dying. Tinsel stated that she has a special bond with Rick. They both loved each other. She had Haruka's engagement ring to prove it. The song! You gotta play it, Lily! Of course. This is the only one to make things right. Still, I wish there was someone who'd perform it with me. Ahem. It almost matched his outfit, the guitar, albeit had a darker shade of blue despite the crazy bolt designs. My time to shine. I used to be a part of a band, don't you know? Thanks, Jack. Galaxy Forces Cadet blew into the flute the same subtle note she played during the last night's ceremony. During the number, Regeneration, Jack eventually strummed his own instrument. It was the same warm-up song he learned when he was just a kid. He never felt more exhilarated as he saw this as his very own stage. In the darkness, it was the same thing Rick heard. Despite the paralysis, it was soothing to him as he was resting in a comfortable bed somewhere in the Galaxy Runner. Balance was restored, and the storms gradually dissipated. The ground momentarily stopped quaking and erupting. The oceans were calmer. As Giant was healing, all 3 terrestrial deities were revived during the celebration. Their hearts warmed, never wanting to fight. But Placine never rose up. Everyone didn't notice Jody and EAD leave on their vehicles and apprehend Dawn. Rick barely opened his eyes and saw a gorgeous sunset through a large window. His body was still powerless from the onslaught. When the song ended, he barely noticed Tinsel laying over him. Did I do it? Did I make a difference? Yes, you did. We all did. He said his body was so hard to move. She wondered how he was able to get the plasma orb. He wasn't sure, but he felt it course through his veins when he busted out of the shocking trap. It was also emitting energy in his other pocket by the time he woke up. She volunteered to stay by his side, but due to the shocks to his body left, the steward said she should let him be. Rick regained some of his strength late at night, but he was still very weak. From his blurry vision, he saw a pair of mechanical crutches leaning against a wall a foot away. He grabbed them, thinking he had no vitality in his legs. They lit up as he put them beneath him. He tested the switches and knobs until eventually he knew how to maneuver them in the direction he needed to go. He snuck out onto the ramp while Clank noticed from the surveillance. "Jody! Somebody left the hangar! It's Rick!" She, the docks, Jack, and Tinsel were startled. He made it to the main shrine and looked out toward the magnificent open ocean between the three towering islands, mourning for the fallen deity. He noticed a huge shadow of a bird fly over him, but he dismissed it as nothing. Then it landed as it stepped closer. Rick immediately took out his blaster and aimed it at Gastro, dropping his clutches. "You stay away from me! You clashing titans have caused enough pain and suffering! If you make a move, I'll blast your brains out! Stand down, Chosen One!" Deity of liquid emerged from the sea. Solid Golem marched up behind the gas titan. "We're not there to fight you, Rick. We're only here to show our gratitude." The gas one lifted the crutches to him, allowing him to use them as he withdrew his gun. "Thanks, Gastro. We should be the ones thanking you." They handed him silvery wings, showing this was all that's left of Lassines. "You saved the world from its own destruction. You wouldn't have wanted it any other way." "No. Take it somewhere no one else can find it. Not even me. We wanted to give you something. It was an orb. This was different as it was forged from a part of their essence. By the time Rick obtained it, it restored his strength as his body warmed up. I feel stronger." The energy dissipated, he dropped the crutches and faced the Titans with a smile. "Thanks, everyone. I will keep this with me. Always. We're all forever in your debt." They bowed and Rick followed as he bent a knee. When he rose, he suggested to rest at their respective shrines. He watched them leave, and then he said silently, "Thanks for you guys watching out for me, and for this." He said the orb. "Looks like you're better already." Stuart led the task force and Lily to him. Everyone was surprised he no longer needed the crutches and was standing tall. Docs found something unusual in his molecular makeup. While he was sleeping, they examined his body and saw traces of the high voltage from some sparks. High-flying Medico never saw anything like it. He gave him a pair of his red gloves which were enhanced with rubber. He also handed him some arches in his shoes as well. Compliments from him and Rodney. Stewart described them as cushions for his electrical discharges. Rodney said the kinetic energy needed some place for them to be released. That way, it'll help avoid painful shocks in contact. "Rick! I'm alright. No need to worry. You can touch me as much as you want. Doctor gave me those rubber arches in my gloves to help absorb the misfiring from my body. You won't be shocked as long as I wear them." Stuart assured both Rick and Tinsel they still have 5 days left if they want to stay in Giant. She went over and hugged him tightly as they were finally reunited in their arms. Mission was accomplished, just Giant was in balance. Don Genie was finally taken in, albeit had severe wounds he may not recover from. He'll be like crippled for life and perhaps impaired. Oh, I'm pretty sure the shocks will go away eventually, and he won't need him as much. Despite the success of his 51st bounty, Rick and Tinsel continued to more Pleasant's sacrifice. Days went by fast. When it was the end of the week, he summoned the Falcon Flyer to carry the couple home to Earth. The natives never minded the entry nor exit. From then on, they knew that technology could be beneficial for them, and the Elder couldn't wait for the next opportunity for advancement, even if it's for an F-Zero track, or if they decided they should return. They're always welcome. What will you do now? We will return to our planet. Our friends are waiting. I see. You are lucky to have such friends, helping you save this planet from its own self-destruction. I will look forward to the day we shall meet again. The bounty hunter and huntress bid the people a giant farewell, as to the inhabitants and also the three deities as the falcon flare rose through the exosphere. Holidas was having a little draconian chick safely in his palm. Victory lap. At the fortress in Port Town, Rick and Tinsel had some private time to pay their respects, and he also wanted to show her something special. What many people may not know about Rick was he's also a martial artist, rather than just a former detective. It was no wonder since he knew how to defend himself well. I always like the way that Rick fights. Always. It was when he put two and two together. After he was severely electrocuted by Don Genie's flytrap with Placine, he felt the shock as well as his thermal energy from deep within his core. It was the same sensation he had when he burst out of the tank Black Shadow imprisoned him in. Then, as he'd have flashback of the Falcon Punch, he unleashed all his energy at it, only it was a dragon than a bird. At first, everyone was prone to a static shock while touching him, until he wore the gloves and arches. Even Rick himself was shocked, both emotionally and physically, as it left him paralyzed temporarily while he decided to train himself with those new enhancements. He then decided to practice with Goro at Kryton about a week ago, on how to harness and channel out the electricity more properly without sustaining damage. Samurai was unsettled when he found out Rick had similar abilities to his bitter rival Falcon, but he was willing and honored to teach him anyway. Through rigorous work and meditation, he did just that, and by golly, Rick finally was able to show Tinsel what he could really do. Aside from the Dragon Punch, which he recalled using to escape the fatal gizmo, he could also use a sweeping kick, which had the same effect on the ground. In addition, he made an uppercut, which he called the Dragon Knuckle. When he jumped and released, he pulled up the pole above him. There was an explosion of electricity coming from his hands. He called that the Dragon Kiss. She recorded the footage, which she saved to show their friends later. She even slowed and froze the data at times to show Rick Sparks had created the illusion of a serpent in each of his moves. Since then, those were Rick's ultimate weapons aside from the two reactor mites. Needless to say, everyone was impressed, those that were both in and out of the task force. Rick believed it was a sign that he had rightfully chosen to follow Captain Falcon's legacy as a hero, bounty hunter, and F-Zero champion. There were no regrets from this moment forward, as he now realized that he has bestowed both with the legend and the power of the Falcon. Hope you all enjoyed this short story as much as I did writing it. Seriously, there really needs to be more of a story for Rick as the new bounty hunter replacing Captain Falcon. Though I didn't see it as some bland title, just a way to honor him. Alright, the fight between the magma crystal creature was inspired by Super Metroid and Norfair, blah blah blah. Finale used regeneration from X, although this one's more subtle than the original. I should like to thank one of my collaborators, Revive Racer, for his suggestion. I had this idea of Rick's new ability, the Electric Dragon, from the Nintendo Wiki, particularly from that kid with the afro who described how my favorite F-Zero pilot would fight in the next Smash Bros. If possible. I'd always wished the day would come. This would be my theory on obtaining Dragon Punch as well as his other shocking skills. Again, it's kind of like Metroid when Samus absorbs multiple life forms' DNA, such as the hatchling, the parasites, and the Phazon. I was surprised when I found out that Rick was also a martial artist, and he's Ryu's F-Zero counterpart. Again, why wasn't he suitable for Smash, and yet he is? Anyway, this F-Zero project is finished. Much like the series itself, who knows what the distant future would bring. Long live this phenomenal series. Alright. Power of the Falcon is finally done. So, not sure what my next project would be, but I hope the series will live on. Take care, F-Zero fans, and keep the faith.